Hi everyone, welcome to Fouts Farm in Cortland, New York. My name is Julia and I work on this farm with my parents, Paul and Laura, and our 11 coworkers. My great-grandparents started this farm almost 100 years ago, and my family has been farming ever since. So I'm going to give you a tour of the farm, and I'm really excited to show you around. So now we're here with the hutches where the babies live. So when calves are born, they are brought to the hutches within a couple hours, and they stay here for 6 to 8 weeks. And we keep them in individual little hutches or cribs, so then they stay nice and healthy. When calves are born, they have a really weak immune system, so it's really easy to get sick really fast. So we keep them separate so then they can stay nice and strong. And then we also know how much each calf is eating, how much each calf is drinking, and we can keep track of them really well. And then when they're old enough, they move on to the calf barn and we can socialize them.
You want to show what's in her hut?
Yes.
Or the bedding in her hut?
So the calves get milk 3 times a day. They get water once a day and grain once a day. And then they also get bedded every couple of days. And the bedding is with straw. So this is actually from a crop that we grow on our farm, and it gives them a nice padding, so they are nice and comfortable in their hutch. You can tell she's very excited. It's almost time for her to get her milk. So after calves are done in the hutches, they move into this calf barn. So at this point, they can come into groups of 5. So this is where they learn to socialize, they learn to share, they learn to live in a group. And twice a day they get grain delivered here. So this is what their grain looks like. This is also the grain that the calves at the hutches get too, so it's something that they're used to. And then in addition, they also get a free amount of hay and as much water as they want as well. Their bedding is with sawdust, so instead of the straw that we saw at the hutches, now they're getting a slightly different bedding. And then this white thing here is a salt block, so that is something else that they can munch on throughout the day. So they first come into this side of the barn and they move through these pens as they get older, as they're eating more and they're used to being in a group. And then when they're old enough, they move into this side of the barn. So at this point they are about 3 months old, and this is where their feed changes. So instead of getting a grain, they get something called a total mixed ration, or a TMR. And in this total mixed ration, there's chopped up grass, chopped up corn, and different grains. And it's all put into one big mixing bowl, and it's mixed in there and delivered here in order to make sure that each bite that they're taking is about the same amount of ingredients, same amount of nutrients and energy, so then they have consistency going in their stomach. And as they grow up, they'll continue getting total mixed rations. That's going to change slightly to meet the needs that they have at each life stage. So this is the point where they can start getting used to eating something that's not grain. They also get as much water as they can drink, and after they are about 5 months, they move on to our next barn. So after the calves are done in their calf barn, they come here to the heifer barn. So heifer just means big calf, so they are getting bigger and growing more. So in this barn, we have close to 70 heifers together. So now they're in a bigger group and they're getting used to being in that big group. This is the same TMR that we saw at the other barn, so that isn't a change they have to get used to. They just get used to their new environment in here and get used to all their new friends. So in this part of the barn is where the breeding age heifers live. So heifer is just a really big calf, and breeding age means she's ready to get pregnant and start growing a baby. So they are teenagers in here, so they're a little bit more excitable, but they're still just as cute. This is where they get a blue tag in their ear, and this blue tag is kind of like a Fitbit in people. It's an activity system, so we can know when she has a lot of increase in activity, which means that she is ready to be bred, or if she has really low activity or not eating enough, then we know if she is not feeling so well. Now we're in the dry cow part of the barn. So dry cow means that the cow is on maternity leave or on vacation, so she's not going to the parlor, and she's focusing on growing her baby. So all the cows in here are going to have calves within the next couple of months. They get a slightly different total mixed ration compared to our mature cows. So it's packed with certain minerals that will help the cow transition after she has had her calf, and gives her the right amount of energy to grow her calf without needing to worry about making milk. So when cows are about to calve, we put them in this pen over here, and that gives them a safe place to have their baby. And once she has her calf, we'll let her lick her off, and then the mom goes to get milked and get some food and water, and the calf goes into a pen over here where she's given colostrum, which is the first milk from her mom. Colostrum is like normal milk, but it also has some extra antibodies or extra good stuff to help her stay nice and healthy and strong. And then from there, the calf will go into our calf hutches. So now we're in our mature cow barn. So these cows get milked 3 times a day. The main goal though is that they're mostly eating and sleeping, so then they can digest their food and stay nice and relaxed. So here we have something called a TMR, or a total mixed ration, and we have corn, minerals, grains, and it's all mixed in one big mixing bowl that makes sure that all of the ingredients are in each bite for each cow, so they have consistency going into their stomach. So you can see that we also have fans in this barn. So it's a really hot day today, and we want to make sure our cows are nice and cool and comfortable. And over here we also have a brush for our cows. So we have one scratching her butt and one scratching her face. And they love that brush. It keeps them clean and it gives them something to do. And right next to the brush is also a water fountain. So they have unlimited amount of water. And this is also called a freestall barn, so they can walk around as much as they want or lay down in their stalls. So why don't we go in and see one of my favorite cows. So this is Chloe. She's my favorite cow here. You can see that Chloe has some ear tags in her ears. The yellow ones help us identify her. So every cow has a number, and that number is connected to everything that's ever happened to that cow. And then this blue tag here is kind of like a Fitbit that people wear. So it's an activity system that helps us keep track of how much she's moving around, how much she's eating, and if she starts to have a lower activity or she's not eating as much, then we can come and check on her and make sure that she's feeling okay. Chloe is also laying on a mattress. So it's very similar to a bed that you have at home. And then on the mattress is a bedding called sawdust, just to keep them nice and comfortable. So Chloe weighs almost 2,000 pounds. She has one calf so far. That calf is about 5 months old now, and she's also pregnant with her second baby. So behind me are what we call bunks. So each bunk has a type of feed in it that we give our cows. In this bunk over here, this is chopped up grass that's been packed super tightly in order to remove the air. And this helps it to be stored throughout the year, so we can feed the cows even when it's snowing outside and we don't have the fields to get feed right away. And then this bunk is chopped up corn, so the whole corn stalk and the ears is all chopped up and put in here, also packed really tightly, and it allows us to store it throughout the year. So after the big mixing bowl that I mentioned before gets the chopped up grass and the chopped up corn that we saw earlier, it drives into here. So you can see all of the bins have these things sticking out, which are called augers. And the big mixing bowl just comes in right here, and we turn on a switch for each bin, and we add the amount of ingredients that we need. Feed is delivered to cows 2 or 3 times a day, depending on the group of cows. Cows that just had a calf get fed more often because they're so hungry, and we want to make sure that they are fed quite a lot. So now we are actually standing right above our new milking parlor. The day that we're taking this video is actually the 3rd day that these cows get to be in their new parlor, and we designed it to be very comfortable for the cows and for the people, and we're very excited about it. We milk about 500 cows in this parlor, and each cow, it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to get milked, and then they get to go home, eat some food, and rest until it's time to go back to the parlor. So let's go and check it out. So now we're actually down here in the parlor with the cows themselves. So you can see we have cows on each side, and we have 15 cows on each side. So as one side is getting milked, the other side can start shuffling in. And then when they're done getting milked, which takes about 5 to 7 minutes, they can go home, eat, and rest. You can see that I'm wearing gloves, and this is just for the health and safety of the cow and to keep the milk nice and clean as well. So I'll actually walk you through milking a cow. So the first thing that we want to do is sanitize her teats with some iodine, and that just keeps it nice and clean and gets her ready to put the milking machine on. And then I use a nice clean towel to dry her off. But before I do that, I'm just going to check her milk and make sure everything looks okay. And then I'm going to dry her off. So now that her udder is nice and clean, we can put the milker on. So now that the milking machine is on, I just want to cover a few things. When cows come into the parlor, they've built up all this pressure in their udder, and when we put the machine on, this helps to relieve that pressure. So they're usually pretty happy to get milked, and it usually only takes 5 to 7 minutes. So this machine just kind of gently milks her out, and then when it senses that she's all milked out, it'll actually come off all on its own. And cows on our farm produce about 10 gallons per cow per day. So now that she is all done being milked, I'm going to post-dip her, which just means putting on another solution that keeps her teats clean and also moisturizes, so then she'll stay nice and comfortable. So now the cows are about to leave, and they're going to turn and they're going to walk home, and there's feed ready for them. Their beds have been cleaned and their barns have been cleaned while they're in the parlor. So now we're standing in our milk house, and this is where the milk comes in to get cooled and stored. So after a cow gets milked, it goes into a pipeline system. It's never touched by human hands, and that's very important to keep it nice and clean. And it heads into this tank where it's stored at 38 degrees Fahrenheit to keep it nice and cool. And once a day, a milk truck comes to pick it up and take it to get processed into dairy products that can go to your home or to your school, so then we can keep you nice and nourished.